Hey, welcome to this video. I just wanted to talk to you today about something God has been showing me, and it's from the book of Exodus. I've been reading through the Bible, and I just went through the first part of Exodus 4, 3 and 4, where God comes to Moses in the form of a burning bush and calls him to go let his people go from Egypt. I feel like God has been speaking to me for a while, and I haven't done anything on this, and I feel like it's time to finally share with you all. And I just want to share. And if you want to watch or play this video in your car, you don't have to watch it, you don't have to look at me, because this is not about me, it's about God and what he has shown me. And I appreciate any if it reaches one person and speaks to you, that's awesome. But what God is showing me and from my own life is that he has a call on our lives as Christians. He's placed everybody in this world for a purpose and for a plan. And I know some of them are tougher than others. Some people walk different paths than others. The Bible says that the path that leads to heaven is straight and it's narrow, and few are those that find it. But the path that leads to destruction is broad, and there's so many people on that path. So there's a lot of people right now who are following God, and they're on that straight and narrow path, and it's a struggle. It's an everyday struggle, and we all have a call on our life as to what we're supposed to do. So this is just pretty simple. God called Moses. And Moses is about 80 years old at this time. He comes to him in the form of a burning bush. How many of us have had God come to us in that kind of form? Not too many of us, I'm sure, have had God come in that form, in a bush that's burning but is not consumed. It's very hard for me to describe to my kids how that works. It's like, yeah, it's burning, it's on fire, but it doesn't get burned up. Just like the wood in the fireplace, but it doesn't get burned up. God calls Moses. I need you to go back to Egypt. I need you to get my people out of Egypt. And I'm going to paraphrase here, because I want to go from what God has shown me. God calls him. Then Moses is like, I don't know if I can do it. What am I going to do? And God gives him signs to do. He says, throw down your staff. It turns into a snake. He sticks his hand in his shirt, pulls it out. It's white with leprosy. Sticks it back in. It's normal again. He tells him, if that doesn't work, get some water out of the Nile, pour it on the ground, and it turns to blood. Kind of a prequel of what God was planning on doing later on. So that's another thing God tells him. He gives him all these signs. He gives him the tools that he needs to make this happen. And Moses is still like, I'm not sure. I don't know if I can do it. I can't do it. He's not sure. So God tells him, I will be with you. If you have God in a burning bush coming to you, telling you, hey, I'm going to be with you. By the way, remove your shoes because the place you're standing is holy ground. He's telling you, I'm going to be with you. I'm going to help you. And you still are doubting what God has had. That's where you need to check yourself. Again, so the last thing that Moses asked, he's like, I don't know if I can do it. So the Bible says in Exodus chapter 4 that God is angry with Moses. So he says, well, what about your brother Aaron? He's like, he can go with you and he can speak for you. Because Moses is saying, I can't even talk. I get tongue-tied. I don't know how to talk. Some people believe he had a stutter. So you have all this right now. Moses is being called, but he's doing everything he can to make an excuse as to why he can't do it. Sometimes I see that in my own life. God calls me to do something, and I'll make every excuse as to why. Well, I'm not talented enough. I'm not well-spoken enough. I'm not old enough. And maybe people won't like the way I approach them. They won't like the way I talk. They won't like the way I sound. God doesn't care about all that. He can use anybody. An 80-year-old shepherd dude who used to be an Egyptian, lived in Egypt, was basically like a brother and a son to the king, and now he's out here, tending sheep on a mountain. And God called him, and he still made excuses. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people don't remember verse 24, 25, 26 of Exodus 4. Moses goes out into he's on his way. He's taking his family with him, his sons and his wife. They're on their way. They stop to sleep. God's going to kill Moses. And his wife circumcises her son and puts that on Moses' feet. And she's like, please don't. And God passes on. And I'm like, wow, it's like back onto our regular scheduled programming. I was gonna, kill him, but now we'll go ahead and keep him. And God still obviously used Moses, and Moses obeyed God, but it took a while for him to go. And God was mad at him first, and second off, he was gonna kill him. And I've thought about that. I've read that before, and I was like, that's amazing. We think about Moses, Ten Commandments, Mount Sinai, leading the Israelites out of slavery where they've been for 400 years. But this is what God was going to do. So make sure when God calls you, you're ready to obey that call. Make sure you're ready to follow God and do what he says. And yes, you may have some excuses, but God can use anybody. And if he calls you, he's going to equip you with the tools you need. He simply told Moses to go and said, I'll be with you. And for God, he's like, well, I think that's good enough for you. But no, Moses wants this. Then he wanted that and this and that. And God worked with him on everyone. And he was so mad, though, he was going to kill Moses. He was going to be like, you know what, that's it. I don't know what he was going to do at that point. Was he going to use somebody else? Was he going to use Aaron? I don't know. But I do know this. Obey God's call, because he means business when he says it. And he's got a plan, and for you to help other people. For him, it was millions of Hebrews that needed to go out of that country, and also to show his power to the rest of the world, to the mighty Egypt that was there now. I hope this word speaks to you. Check out those books for yourself. Don't go based on what I say. Go based on what God says for you. Be the change that you want to see in this world, which is a very good quote, but also use whatever tools God has equipped you with. He's given you the tools that you have, that you need to succeed. And dive deep into his word and follow his spirit. Don't just do it because it sounds right. Do it because you know he's leading you, because he's calling you. You don't need a fiery bush. You just need the